And as Luce said, Luce is our captain of Coach Camp. Officially, we want to welcome you to the 2021 version of Boston Debate League Coach Camp. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here on this first Monday of August. After a year and a half of pandemic, we are so excited to see you here. So we're going to get started and open with some introductions. My name is Marisa Sweskin. I've had the honor of working at the Boston Debate League for the past 8 years, and I am Director of Programs, and I will be part of your Coach Camp team this morning. So I'll invite my colleagues to unmute themselves and introduce themselves. Rainer.
Sorry, I'm not sure if this is true for everyone else. The screen is black, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's strange. I will try to fix that.
You can stop sharing.
Yeah.
The minute we went to recording, the screen went black. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try again, sharing screen. It may have happened right in that moment, so let's see.
Yeah, no worries. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Rainer Fargas, and I work at the BDL as well. I've been working here for about 6 years as a staff member, but much longer as part of the community as a former debater myself.
Claudia Cardoso and Zyra Mercer from Neighborhood House Charter School, Brighton High School, Binka and Henderson Inclusion Upper School, respectively. They are also, they've been wonderful and brilliant additions to our staff team this summer. So you will be working with them this afternoon and a couple of other times throughout Coach Camp. So we are your Coach Camp team. And if we continue to the next slide, we want to get a sense of who's in the room, and we'll be in breakout rooms in a little bit, but actually let's stop sharing screen for this. I'm going to just, so we can see each other's faces for this. So I'm going to invite you to unmute yourself and give yourself a shout out if you are a teacher. So just say hey if you're a teacher.
Hey!
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 Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I should add, whether your formal role is teacher or not, if you are a debate coach, you are absolutely a teacher. So everyone is. If you are a BDL alum, who are our alumni in the house?
Hey, what's up? Hey.
Yes. I think we may have more alumni coaches than ever this year, so that is exciting. And of course, alumni staff.
All the old heads. See you, I see you, Frizz.
I see you.
Nice. Frizz was the first one in the waiting room. Shout out. If you have experience as a debate coach, you have coached before.
Hey!
Awesome. Who are our brand new coaches? Let us welcome you.
Whoop, whoop.
Hey.
Awesome. Welcome, brand new coaches.
Welcome.
And who has been coaching for at least 3 years?
Hey.
Awesome.
Hey.
Hi, everybody.
You are treasures to our community. Now we're just going to give you a chance, just unmute. If you see someone on your screen that you haven't seen all summer, you just want to say hello, just unmute, say hello to whoever you want to say hi to.
Hey,
Hey, Miss Brown. Hey.
Hey, Mr. Mitchell.
Hey, Lorenis.
Good morning.
Hi, Ruth.
Hey, Anna. Fargas. Marissa.
Hi,
Hey, Miss Dolly.
Hi, Liz.
What is Helen? Helen's hiding somewhere.
We also, oh, there's Helen. We also have at least one baby on the screen.
Yeah.
There may be another one coming, yes.
Yeah.
Say hi. She said hi.
Oh, hi. Baby McShane. So babies, pets, for those of you who are new, babies, pets, family members, children, partners are welcome to come in on the Zoom screen and check out Coach Camp as well. So we, again, are so excited to have you here. So we're going to go back, Roger, if you don't mind, to sharing screen. We'll go to slide, go to the slide 4. And this is just a very brief orientation to your Zoom screen. For those of you who are teachers, you have been using this for a long time, but some folks may be less familiar. So we'll just briefly review that you have a toolbar at the bottom that allows you to mute yourself, to turn on and off your video, to change the view from gallery, which is sort of the Brady Bunch view, to speaker view, where you highlight the person speaking. We will be using the chat a lot. That's also in the toolbar. You can message everyone, or you can message just an individual person. And there's reactions. We encourage you to use your reactions. Zoom in this past year has expanded the reaction options. So please use those freely as well. Even when we're in the whole group, we're hoping this can be a conversation. So feel free to put in the chat if you have any Zoom related questions. In the meantime, we'll move on to the next slide. And we're going to get to know who is in the room by doing an activity that invites each of us to think about our students. So please take a moment, wherever you are, eating your breakfast, feeding your baby, taking your walk, whatever it is, think back to when you were the age of the students you will be coaching this season. So if you're a high school coach, you can pick an age, whether it's 15 or 17 or 14. If you're a middle school coach, pick an age, 11, 13, 12. Think about that age, pick a specific age within your coaching. And then you're going to create a PowerPoint slide that reflects who you were as a student. So this, I should say, because we test drove this with staff before doing it, and to make sure it wasn't too hokey. People really enjoyed it, but also felt a little stressed at this point. So do not feel stressed. There's no right answer. You don't have to produce anything of a standard, but we want you to create a slide that reflects who you were as a student. You can include anything you want: photos, videos, artwork, poetry, quotes, phrases, just a couple of key words. You can include a lot of things. You can just focus on one thing, like one photograph or one phrase. But whatever it is you feel expresses yourself at that age. And so in a moment, you're going to be sent to a breakout room, and you're going to open your breakout rooms PowerPoint. We're going to put the folder in the slide, in the chat. And Roger, actually, if you can open up the PowerPoint, just open up the link for a second so people can see. So you're going to be, we'll put this in the chat, a folder, who you were as students. If you're in breakout room 1, you'll open PowerPoint 1. If you're in breakout room 4, you'll open PowerPoint 4. And you'll just see that there's blank slides as well as the instructions on what to do. And you're going to have, we're going to give you 7 minutes just to think about who you were as a student, and put some things in that PowerPoint. And again, it could just be one thing. I know some people are not maybe able to access their computer right now, and that's okay too. You'll still be able to maybe share verbally and listen to other folks. So if we go back to the slide again, up there, yep. You're going to have about 6 or 7 minutes to do that. And then what we're going to invite you to do is share out. And before you share out, you might try to guess whose slide is who in your room, if you know some folks, or even if you don't. And then each person will just share out briefly what their slide is, why they put that, what this reflects about who they were as a student, and also what age you're talking about. So before we go to breakout rooms, and there'll be 7 breakout rooms, any questions on what we're doing for the next few minutes here?
Yes, Marissa.
Yes.
So can we use, so we are to create one slide, and on that slide you put the information.
That's
Who
right.
were you as a student at the age that you coach? And but are the slides create for us, or we need to create that slide? I'm sorry if I missed.
No, it's okay. So actually, Roger, if you wouldn't mind opening up one of those slides just to show. So I put in the chat, yeah, if you go to who you were as students. Oh. I put in the chat the folder.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so go to the folder who you were as students. And if you open, let's say, breakout room 1.
I got you.
You got it. Yeah, so it just has the instructions and then just blank slides. So again, no pressure. You can throw in a photo, you can throw in a word or phrase, or if you have multiple, when kind of get creative and do a collage, a video. We at the BDL staff did this as well, and we'll do it. Whoever's in the breakout room will be able to each create a slide.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you for that question. Any other questions before we move into breakout rooms?
Well, we're going to do one slide, right? Just one, not a slideshow.
That's right, just one slide, but you can add multiple things on it if you'd like.
Where am I going to get these things?
It is a good question.
I'm sort of pre-AV.
Yes, so
Everybody these days, I mean.
If you really want, you can just type. No extra graphics or anything like that needed.
That's
Feel
right.
free to just type.
You can write who you were as a student, a few words or phrases, adjectives. Some people, I don't want to predispose people, but some people, they you know, they found videos from the internet that reflected them, or quotes or images that showed their interests or different things. So you can choose to be funny or serious, however reflects who you were as a student. So I'm going to invite us to jump in. Feel free to reach out, broadcast for help if you have any questions, but I think we can move us into breakout rooms.
Also, if you are at home and you have a piece of paper and that's what you want to use, feel free to use it.
Yes, then you can hold it up. There we go. Or if you have an old photo, you can hold it up as well. All right. So all right, so Luce is going to put us into breakout rooms, and we'll take, again, about 5 to 7 minutes to think and to put together your slide, and then we'll have another 5 to 7 minutes or so to share out each person. I'm back. I hope your room was as interesting as mine was. And if you're like in my room, maybe not everyone got to share out, but you got to at least think about who you were as a student and hear from a couple of your fellow coaches or share out yourself. So Luce, I'm going to pass it to you to facilitate a couple more people sharing out in this whole group.
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So just to share now in the full group, we have 2 questions here. I hope everybody got a chance to kind of like learn a little bit about each other, what you were like when you were in any age that you chose, whether it was like 6, 7, 8, or 10. So now here in this big group, we want you to share either a few things. What did you learn about the BDL coach community, and how these learnings about identities and what experience as a student affect the work we're doing together this week during the debate season. So let's look a little bit kind of like, I will put the questions in the chat. Yes, Marisa, thank you. So feel free to share out from the groups. I know maybe one person per group. I know there were like 7 groups. If you feel like sharing a little bit. What did you learn about other coaches that you were like, is that what you were when you were like 15 years old?
Okay, I'm going to talk about group 4, breakout room number 4, and then you join in, my people. So we are very diverse, and because we are in the very diverse spectrum of ages, we experience different things. We are knowledgeable and like different things from that particular age that we teach, and we chose and what was going on at that time. We had very young and have me. So that was great. So what I learned is that we were in that particular group, our spectrum of ages were very, very diverse, and we are interested in many different things, And what is the second question? Let me go back and then. How might this learning about our identities and experience as students affect the work during this debate season? Well, I think I love this exercise because it's maybe I don't take enough time to think myself as a student and all the things that I like and enjoy. Although I'm very seasoned. I have seen many winters and springs, and my experience is quite different since I grew up in a different country and a different experience altogether. And so this experience made me remind myself as a student the value of education. And I think that is still a value that I bring as a coach. And maybe that helps me to I don't know if inspire or because I still believe that education and knowledge and what we do in debate is very, very valued for our students. So I'm going to talk by my perspective and how this exercise helped me to remind myself something that is very precious to me, to know more, to think about topics that as when and I chose the age of 14, I was 1 year behind in 8th grade. So I was one of the oldest in my class, and the power of knowledge and education growing up in the dictatorship was everything you had, teachers who encourage you to think. I was blessed with that. So that's my spiel for group 4. Group 4 talk about, because they were very young, so they have more funny things to share.
For 2 more groups to share, and you don't have to necessarily answer the questions. If there is something else that you found also in the groups as well, feel free to share that, whatever you learned from the rest of the coach community. Marisa, I hear your group was fun. Who wants to share from that group number 1 that you were in?
I can do that. This is Lachelle.
Yes.
So I really loved our group, even just meeting for however many minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. We were already laughing, and I felt like we were getting to know each other fairly quickly. So that's important to me, becoming a new coach. And I hope to have that same relationship with the students. So my role in the school is a school social worker. So I'm always trying to build a relationship with students anyways. And I'm stealing this activity, first of all. I really liked it. So thank you. And I think just from our group, we were different age ranges, which was really good. I know that I shared just like some different toys that I used in the 90s or different things that I liked. And we also shared things about like our culture for the people that were able to share, which is another thing. We want to look like our students as well. We want to represent. So I think that's important. This activity will relate to us as coaches as well, for students to see people who they look like and also with the culture. And anyone else want to share, feel free.
Thank you, Lachelle. And again, feel free to put anything in the chat, and I think we can pass it to one more person who wants to share.
I guess I'll take on that responsibility for group 7 because I misled our group. So we really didn't get a chance to share out because I misconstrued the instruction. So for me, I'll just share my screen real quick. Okay. So I chose, I'm an immigrant. I'm a science student. I'm a multilingualist. So growing up as a kid in Liberia, I think music had a really big impact. And Peter Tosh was probably like my favorite musician. And I really love this song, Equal Rights. So that's what I chose. This was, I believe, when I was about 14. So that's really had a huge impact on me. And the second piece that I used in the artwork was Glorious Victory. I actually like this art piece a lot by Diego. I love using this with students when I teach US history because it's always, there's like this narrative being an immigrant. And I think the last 20 years, we've really seen this anti-immigrant xenophobia. And I love teaching this with students because I can connect to it. I'm someone that grew up in a country where the US coup played a role. And also how this painting was really instrumental in what the impact it had in Central America and where my students also come from as well. So I think for me, that's like it's something that it's kind of relevant, but also has a historical significance, an ongoing issue.
And thank you everyone for sharing about culture, for sharing about the things that were present when you grew up, the things that looking back and still like thinking about those things that had an impact in your life and thinking about what was like when you were the age of the students you're coaching. I think that's really powerful and important, as you may all have experienced a little bit. I hope everyone had had an opportunity to share, because I would have loved to learn a lot more about each and every one of you when you were young, but I hope that you were all a little bit able to share and learn a little bit within the small groups, and hopefully we can continue. This is something we can continue to revise throughout the week, and also continue to get to know each other a little bit better, and thinking about this experience and how those experiences impact the coach, our coaching now, and how we can use that to connect with the students and with each other as well. And I will pass it back to Marisa. Thank you everyone for sharing.
Thank you. And Roger, if you wouldn't mind sharing screen starting at slide 7, my share screen is still being pokey. But I'll just add, seeing the, adding on to what Lou said, just seeing the glimpses of what each of us is bringing, of who we were as students to the work we each are doing and you each are doing with your debaters is just really powerful and grounding and inspiring. So we will continue to refer to these slides about who we were as students and this concept as we go through the week. So we are going to move on to talking about the big picture at the BDL. This is going to be an introduction of sorts to those who are new to the BDL community, and it'll be kind of a regrounding for all of us as we enter this new debate season. So moving to the next slide, who we are as the Boston Debate League. We are a 15-year-old. We are celebrating our 15th anniversary. You may notice in our emails, we have a fun little graphic that has a 15 on it to note that milestone. And some of you here have been part of it that whole time or almost that whole time. So that is just such a treasure. But we are a nonprofit organization located in Boston, and our mission is what we do. We integrate argumentation and debate into Boston public schools and public schools in and around Boston, including Somerville and Chelsea, to develop critical thinkers ready for college, career, and engagement with the world. So that's what we do. Our two programs that we work to do that is debate-inspired classrooms. That's bringing argumentation and debate into the classroom, and of course after school debate. That's the program we're all here doing, that's bringing debate into schools, debate teams, each of you leading those teams and bringing those teams together for big citywide competitions, tournaments, other kinds of programs throughout the community. If we move to the next slide. So that's what we do, and we often start with what we do, but really the starting is the why. Why are we here? Why do we do this work? And I feel that what we shared, the glimpses, the images, the words and phrases that we shared and who we were as students is caught up in this vision of why we're here. So our vision is that all young people in Boston are engaged in critical discourse, informed by evidence and empowered to lead. That's our vision. That's what we hope when students enter your debate spaces, your classrooms, they enter a Boston Debate League tournament, that you as coaches and adult educators who are also learners enter this coach camp space, that you experience that as well, feeling engaged in critical discourse, informed by evidence and empowered to lead, that all of us are leaders and learners within this community. And our values are how we do the work. So we have 5 values that are listed here. And again, we hope as you look at this list that you experience this week to be reflective of those values, and that our community throughout the debate season is reflective of those values. And we hope that your students experience those values as well. So take a moment, type in the chat what words or phrases resonate with you from our vision statement or from our values. Thank you, Lorraine's power of young people. Enjoying learning. I was feeling that when we were there. I'm seeing informed by evidence, empowered to lead, joy in learning. Diversity and inclusion, equity. So equity is a through line. The word isn't there, but equity is a key piece of all of this. Critical discourse, analytical discourse. So this is powerful. Thank you for sharing those words and phrases that resonate. We'll keep trying to return to this and be grounded in this. Joy in learning. We hope, we already had some laughter this morning, so we hope that is your experience throughout the week. So thank you for sharing. Keep putting in the chat throughout. The chat is an open conversation as we go. We're going to move to the next slide. And this is our commitment statement. So we talked about why we're here, what we do, how we do it, but the commitment is about who. Who are we holding ourselves accountable to? And we, as we've talked about, aspire to be an inclusive learning community. And the center of who this is about is the young people. So I'm just going to read this commitment statement. We offer debate and argumentation programs for young people in Greater Boston with a commitment to serving students of color and other students who have been denied these educational opportunities. We tailor our programs to address the educational inequities they experience and strive to create inclusive learning communities where all participants are welcome and supported in achieving the transformative lifelong benefits of debate. So this really articulates, I think, most directly and explicitly our racial justice quest here, and the ways in which our work is grounded in seeking equity and justice and inclusivity. So this statement, along with our values, our vision, and our mission, our statements, we at the BDL return to multiple times a week. Every time we meet, we start by just looking at those and grounding ourselves in those. So that's why we want to start Coach Camp doing that as a coach community. So again, words or phrases from this commitment statement that jump out at you, resonate with you. Also, if you have reflections or thoughts that you want to share, please take a moment to put in the chat. Yeah, lifelong benefits, transformative. We've been talking a lot about what does it mean to be transformative, transforming from what to what. Students have been denied these educational opportunities. These apply to my school district. And the word commitment's coming up. Welcome. Well, thank you. We're going to move to the next slide, but please keep putting in the chat the words and phrases that resonate if you haven't yet, or if you have another connection you want to make. And grounding in this, we want to give a history. And again, for some of you, this is familiar history. So it's it's retreading some ground, and for some it may be new. The Boston Debate League is part of a national movement across the country of urban debate leagues over the past 35 years that is around making policy debate, which is the type of debate we do, accessible to young people of color in urban areas. So it started in Atlanta in 1985 with Emory University, and that's still a sort of hub for debate and urban debate. It continued on to New York City, and you can see the other cities where it continued on to. And in 2005 is when we started here in Boston. A man named Andrew Brokos founded the Boston Debate League, and it was a volunteer. The history, our founding story was that it was a volunteer-run organization until a few years later, it got its first full staff member and all of those things, and moved on from there. But I think it's powerful to remember that, its founding roots. Was anyone here, unmute and shout out yourself, if you were here in 2005 or even 2006, 2007, in those very early years, if you were around. Maybe a little later, more like 2010 for some folks, probably. So this is the sort of national landscape in which we exist, and you can see the list of the full number of cities who are part of what we call the National Association of Urban Debate Leagues. So we are a part of that. 22 urban debate leagues in total, and again, just remind the history that this came out of, saying debate had typically been a white space, an affluent space, a suburban space, and this was bringing debate into other spaces, and therefore transforming conversations and what's going on in the debate space across the country. So feel free to put in the chat any responses you have to that, and I'm going to move us to the next slide as we reflect. And then a brief history of the BDL. So I talked about Andrew Brokos, who himself had been a debater and was the first executive director as well as founder. In 2008, Steve Stein, some of you came on in the Steve Stein era. He was here from 2008 to 2016 as executive director. Some of us joined in that time as staff or as coaches. Some of us were debaters and then became alum in that time. And then our current executive director, who's been here for the past 5 years, is Mike Wasserman. And Mike, for those of you, some of you may or may not know this, but Mike and his wife are actually moving to be closer to family. They just made a move. He's still working with us, but not related to wanting to leave the BDL, but they wanted to make a move in terms of their life priorities. So he's moving on, which is a big shift for the organization and big news, and certainly is a loss for us. But also, as we've said to Mike, we feel that we're in such stable and growing and flourishing as an organization in large testament to his leadership. So it doesn't feel like a tumultuous transition, but it is a transition. It's a significant one. And, it marks an exciting chapter of what might be next for us. And so this is, real time. It's possible in Coach Camp week that we might find out who our new executive director is. We're in the finalist interview process now. So stay tuned. I don't know if we'll know this week, but we might. So that's another reason to tune into Coach Camp. And if we do, we'll try to see if the new executive director might be able to say a few words at some point, if possible. And again, we may not find out this week. As with all executive director searches, the ultimate decision is through the board of directors. So they'll be making those decisions. But this list below the history of the after school debate team, and you can see we started with just high school in English. We added middle school in English. We also added debate en español at the high school level. We started partnering with Suffolk University. We started connecting with national tournaments. And then we expanded to both Somerville and Chelsea. And I know there are folks from both of those cities and school districts here with us today as well. So any questions on this, feel free to put in the chat and we can move to the next slide. And this is the last slide I'll do is just sharing what kind of debate we do. You may have heard of different kinds of debate. Some people have done mock trial, parliamentary debate, Lincoln Douglas debate. The style of debate we do is called policy debate. And in policy debate, there's two sides and they argue about what we call a resolution. We'll talk more about that, but basically they're advocating for a policy, a thing that in this case, the US federal government should do. And part of the reason we engage in that kind of debate, it tends to involve a deep critical analysis of an issue over the course of a whole season, whereas other types of debate might go through a lot of different issues in the course of a season. And it really pushes the critical thinking, the academic discourse. So those are some of the benefits of debate that we aspire for students to have, to get deeply informed about an issue, make connections to their own lives, and be able to engage in real critical discourse around it. So with that, that is our grounding in the BDL. I'll pause there and invite, again, any questions or comments in the chat before we move to the next section.
Thank you, Marisa. And if you don't have questions now, feel free later on throughout the session to take a minute and ask the questions at any point. So I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna put 30 seconds on my phone, and I want you to either turn off the camera for those 30 seconds because we're switching now to get a little bit information. I know this first part was about just for some of you getting to know somebody or grounding yourself. So I want to give that a space that some of us may need. Even if it's 30 seconds, to shut off your camera, and then once you hear the alarm, just come back in as you want, or if you want to get up and drink water. So 30 seconds running now as we do debate. So. Perfect. So welcome back in. I know 30 seconds are not nearly enough to stretch, but at least you can breathe and take those 30 seconds in. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now. And this second part, so this is kind of like a continuation. We want to ground ourselves into what this week is going to look like. So any questions you may have about what the week is going to look like, what the season is going to look like, we want to hopefully try to go through all of those questions you may have about the season, about the week, so that this morning we can kind of like just, it's going to be a lot of information. So this is like when you go and do any paperwork, you're like, oh my God, I have to learn all of this before I either get the loan or I either like kind of like buy this. I need to learn all the instructions. So this is like that part that is not as fun as the first part, sharing with everybody, but we try to keep you engaged through the chat, and we will also have some Zoom polls that you can be answering. So to keep with us, and at any point, please stop me to ask any questions. So this part is going to be again about expectations for the week and season. Our outcomes here are kind of like for you to get an understanding of what this week is going to look like, what our debate season is going to look like, about responsibilities for you as a coach, and our commitment as a league. So we're going to be here until 10:30 for 1 more hour, and then you're going to transition to your break, as well as you're going to be transitioning to the sessions at 11. So for this session, you will hear from me, Luz. I know everybody introduced themselves, so I won't make everybody to introduce, but you will be hearing from Runner, from Roger, a little bit from Marisa, as well as from Kent as well during this session. So what is this week about? Why do we all meet here and stay here for a full week? Time, I always said, is one of the most valuable things. So, and I do appreciate everybody being here. One, we want to make sure that we continue to build community. among coaches, among BDL staff, that you get to know who you're going to be working with. And some of you have met us before, some of you have not met the full staff, but just let's continue to see how we continue to build community and work together. Practicing the art of coaching, you're going to be having some opportunities to learn, some opportunities to lead. As we always say, we're a learning organization. Sometimes we lead, sometimes we learn, and we all going to do that throughout the week. Also, we're going to be gaining knowledge of the policy debate topic for the year, protection of water resources, as well as the cases that debaters at the BDL are going to be debating this season. So I'm not going to go through every single outcome here for this season, but I will be sharing with you all of like kind of like the PowerPoints and everything. So if you're like, oh, did I achieve this outcome or not? So we'll have different, we hope that you take some strategies with you, that you experience, at least if you have never seen a round, that you experience what it looks like, and that you get an understanding of what the week is, and the season is going to be for you, about the expectations with the students you're going to be working, about the structure for the week, as well as knowledge of the topic, and again, get connection to the BDL community. And again, I won't go through every single outcome of here, but just in general, we want you to get strategies, experiences, some experiences, and get understanding of some of the things that will be valuable for the season, and connect to the community. So for this week, this is what the week is looking like. So today, we're looking about, again, expectations for the week and season. In the afternoon, we're going to have 2 sessions, one for novice, one for advanced debate. This is from 11 to 1. Tuesday, we're going to be looking at topic knowledge, learning about the BDL case, as well as like a little bit like kind of like, what's the topic this year? What are resources? What's that about? How much do I know? Like, how much we're going to learn about that? What are we going to teach the students about it? Wednesday, engaging debaters, because without debaters, we don't have a team. So that's one of the critical things. So all day Wednesday, we're going to spend it on that. We're going to have some amazing coaches lead throughout the week and the Wednesday session as well. On Thursday, we're going to be talking a little bit about the expectations for each division. Students are in novice, JV, varsity. What should I expect from them? How can I help them kind of like grow and continue to grow throughout the different divisions? And we also going to be providing some office hours, as well as we're going to be learning a little bit more about that. And on Friday, it's a time for all of you to kind of like practice a little bit and be a little bit part of like the community, and share with each other a little bit kind of like, okay, so, and we learned all of this week. This is what I'm excited for during the season. So Friday is your day to practice. So just a quick poll. Which topic or what day are you, which topic today you are most looking for? Just answer the poll. I'm gonna put a few seconds for that. So just to get a sense which day you may be more interested in. Again, I have the topics there listed.
You choose more than one?
No, you can choose one. Which one are you the most looking forward to? You may be wanting to pick 2, but like, it's like, that's the one. Okay, I'm gonna give 10 more seconds. Again, you are excited about today, intro to advanced topics. Tuesday, learning about the topic for the year. Wednesday, how to engage debater. Thursday, expectations for each division. Or Friday, to collaborate with your co-coaches and present something. I know it's a hard decision to only pick one, but that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna be ending as of now. And you can feel free to put in the chat a little bit why that was the, Were people able to answer?
Did you click share results?
Nobody answering my thing.
People, they can see it now. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, now we can see.
Okay, let's continue a little bit. That's exciting. Again, put in the chat anything that excites you about the week, and we will continue to do this for the week. So a couple quick logistics for the week. So we have, okay, perfect. So each session, you should all have received at this point a calendar invite with all the sessions. If we have multiple sessions, you receive the calendar invite for both. You can choose, and I will share my screen and show you what I mean that you should have all received your calendar invites. I know some people mentioned they weren't able to receive the calendar invites. So I want to make sure that maybe, because I know if you sign up kind of like in the last couple of days, I may have just sent it to you without sending to everybody else. So this is, everybody should have like the introduction to debate. So look at your calendars. I have, I think, everybody here. So you should have received every single invite for the morning, for the afternoon sessions. It should be in your calendar. And you will find there, for example, if we're having two sessions like this afternoon, if you're going into the novice room, you should have received a link for the novice room. And in the same invitation, you will find the one for the varsity room. You are welcome to choose either one, but you feel like, I don't know which one I should choose. We assigned you a room that we think it will be the best fit. But if you are like, I don't want to go to novice, or I don't want to go to, like, I still feel like I'm a novice, like we maybe have pushed you and said like, let's do varsity. So we may have done that. So, but you are welcome to, again, be at the other session. So you should have received those, both of those in your calendar. Again, if you are, again, just like thinking about, the only thing I'm gonna give you time at the end of this session for you to do is to sign up into office hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I will be sharing this document earlier today, but here is the attendance. We will be taking attendance, and here is where you can see where if we assign you as JB after varsity or novice. So we have two tracks, novice and varsity, as I show in my calendar invite. Kelsey, I see you. What? May you put me in varsity? Yes, Kelsey. I put you in varsity. You're not a novice coach anymore. But yes, so you will be in, so here is our suggested kind of like track. Again, feel free, if you're not comfortable going to JB varsity, which is a little bit more advanced, feel free to go back to novice. But that was the recommended kind of like track that we assigned for you. I shared the Google Classroom. If some of you may have noticed, if you were accessed, I know BPS was at the beginning having a little bit of access. If you were accessing with your BPS email, that problem has been resolved. So you also have access to every single session for the week. For example, for Monday, you will access all the PowerPoints, everything here. So in the classroom, if you did not get access to that, you can also access it to the Google Drive, which is also the link that I put in the invitation. But on Tuesday is here. Every single day you will find all the materials, all the presentation finalized here. We put some paperwork here as well. New coaches, or if you move, we always require like a W-9. So that as well, you can access it here. So everything that we're gonna be passing through today is gonna be in here. I don't wanna kind of like overwhelm the chat with a lot of like links, but you always can, like, we will be sending some of the links, and you can always refer back to the links here, so that you can find everything here. Okay, so a little bit of those are the logistics for the week. Again, we will be asking you at the end to sign up for a office hours day. And what that means is you will come here and sign up for office hours, and with a co-coach as well, just say, hey, let's do, for example, on Tuesday at 1:30 to 1:50, let's meet and decide what are we doing on Friday, what topic we want to present on Friday. So that's the only thing that you will have to do. And again, there will be a space for that at the end of this session. Okay, Okay, feel free to put as well any questions in the chat. There's a couple other staff members here that will be able to answer any questions you may have. But again, I want to provide all this information so you know about expectations, but you don't have to memorize all of this. Again, everything is in the calendar, and we will be kind of like asking for things as the week progresses, but I just want to make sure that you know from now on. So this session, so we're going to look a little bit about the season and the expectations with tournament scrimmages and all that. We're going to look at the resources from program managers as well. And we're going to kind of like talk a little bit about preparing for the season. Okay, so the support for the season. The first thing you need to know about the support for the season, you have your number one good to go is your program managers. If you have worked with us for the past few years, these are the three faces you have been interacting with. Ryan, Roger, and myself as the program managers. And I will invite each of them to say one more thing if I know they introduced themselves, but if they just want to say one more extra thing about the work they do as a program manager and inviting them. And the other thing is, as you kind of like thinking about it, said these were the faces you all used to see, because there are two new faces that you're going to be seeing as your program managers. Marisa is going to be working with some of the schools as well as Kent. But I will pass the microphone now, starting with Roger. You have 30 seconds to say something really exciting for people who are going to be working with you next season.
All right, well, I'll go first. Super excited to work with a bunch of schools. I primarily work with middle schools and high schools that have a middle school and high school debate team. And I'm working more on trying to get those schools to work better together, middle school and high school. So I'm excited for that. And my number one goal for the season is that the schools that I'm program managing just beat Kent and Marisa and Luz and Rainer schools. That's the goal.
Okay, Runner, I want you to pass this. This was not supposed to be a debate, but okay.
Thank you, Luz. Rainer here representing for the middle school squad. I don't know what Roger's talking about because it's ain't even a contest, but I won't get into that. But I am excited as usual to get back into the thick of it. I know last year was definitely a trying time. So I am extremely excited to have tournaments again in person. And I am appreciative of last year because it really made us think about accessibility in a different way, more holistic way. So I'm also excited about the hybrid options we will also have this season as well, because I know some schools it was harder to get into scrimmages and all these other things. So now I know, like, given the hybrid access, that a lot of you guys will participate more. And my ultimate goal, obviously, is to help you meet those goals you have for your schools in terms of like where you see debate fitting and how you can move your school forward towards achieving the goals the schools have, but also you have and ultimately your students have. So I'm excited about that. On the competition side, Roger, it's not even a contest, like I said, but we'll get back to that later. And I'm gonna throw it to Marisa.
Awesome. Hello. Again, I'm Marisa Sweskin, and I'm delighted. I haven't been doing the direct work of supporting debate teams, but as we were thinking about coming out of a pandemic that we're actually still in and really supporting, making sure every single school gets support, we wanted to make sure it was all hands on deck and that every member of our team, including our expanded team with Kent, who we'll speak in a moment, is supporting schools so that we can really not be spread too thin and be providing really meaningful support. So I will say personally, I'm super kind of like honored and humbled and excited to be partnering closely with my little handful of schools. I have a smaller portfolio, small but mighty. So I feel like my crew is in that competition, and we are going to do amazing things. But again, I really look forward to being a sort of more close on the ground partner with the handful of schools that I'll be working with, and am honored to do so. And Luz, I don't know if you introduced yourself in this way or not yet, or should I pass to Kent?
Yes, Kent.
Sure. So I'm kind of like new on the job in terms of this. So I don't know about like this competition kind of thing between Rainer and Roger or Marisa. So I'm probably going to stay out of it. But my goal here is to like try and help schools. That's like the number one thing, right? Whether or not there's a competition or not, it's all for like the ultimate like ambition of just helping the schools out and trying to like achieve our ultimate goal of what the BDO is about, you know?
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. And just I just want to say that Ken said he was new in this, but Ken was doing debate like for like 100 years or I don't know how many. So he may be new to kind of like being here working with us, but he's definitely not new to debate. And he will be able to support in that area as well. And again, so my name is Luz, and I will be working with a few schools, and I know I have the best teams ever to work with. I adore every school and every team, but I know my debate en español, gente, donde está mi gente, the debate en español, as well as everybody else who I work with. Everyone is amazing. So I just look forward to supporting you this year and seeing some faces. I can't wait into actually going back into the schools and then just, I don't even have to enter the competition because I know you are all the best that work with me. So that's all I have to say, but just excited to be back and be working with all of you and going actually in person and seeing all your faces. Again, I will share a little bit here, again, this screen here a little bit, so you can have a full view of who is gonna be working here. So as you notice here, so this is how the school, so it's still, for example, I work with the schools that I work with. So I still, for example, was working with Charlestown and O'Brien. I am still gonna be your contact person that's gonna be doing the initial meetings with you and Kent. And anything else in the that you need, you can also ask him. But again, we will still be here and kind of like responding from the BDL, any questions that you may have as well. So this is the list. I also shared the list. I saw one hand up. Before I continue, Chris, do you have a question?
I do. I think you may have kind of addressed it. I noticed that with Ken's schools, he's being also supported by you, Luz, and I think Roger, maybe. I'm just wondering if you have a sense of what that would look like or who we should be emailing prior to September, after September. But I realize that only impacts a fairly small percentage of us. So I'm also happy to get that information offline.
Yes, so any communications that you have related BDL, you can include both of us. We're gonna be so think about Ken as the person who's gonna be supporting your practices, and every meeting that's gonna happen like in September to kick off your seasons and all that, we will do it as teams. We will be there. So you think about Roger, because I think Roger and myself as like the person who's gonna be there, and then just Ken will be on the ground supporting as well. So I know you had a little bit of chance to look at who was the person supporting kind of like the school you were in. I just want a little bit here, one more poll for you. Who is your program manager? If you had a chance to look at this. If you haven't had a chance to look at this, you will have a chance throughout, and like each program manager will be reaching out to you as the season kick off to start those meetings as well. And if you don't hear from them, you're welcome to also email you, and you can say, hey, I saw you're my program manager in the team. You haven't emailed me yet, so here I am. But I know that doesn't happen as we kick off the year. So. Okay, I will give a few more seconds and I will end the poll. Please share the result here.
What if Marissa's the program manager at our school, but she's not on the poll?
I'm sorry. What
And
was
instead, Ramon is. Apparently, Ramon is becoming Ramon Trinidad, the coach at Brighton, is becoming a program manager. Apparently.
That was my trick question.
That was a trick option, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, Brian, I got you. We're good.
I don't know who's Ramon. I don't know how that name got thrown in there.
Yeah, Luz was just trying to make sure you're all paying attention.
Yes, exactly.
I have learned some things for this debate practice. So when I went to the debate practice, I always saw these questions. So I was like, let me just try it out. But again, just thank you everyone for continuing with this. And I will pass it at this point to my colleague Branner. He's gonna share a little bit about our goals for the year and how we are going to work for this.
Oops, sorry. Thank you, Luz. You're gonna keep sharing your screen. Okay. As Lou said, we're just kind of ripping off the Band-Aid here. I know it's a lot of information, so stick with us. So we're going to transition a little bit into talking about next year and the goals for next year. This slide really shows a bunch of numbers, but it's really about a change in philosophy for us. As every organization there's a pressure to grow, continue to grow and grow. And I'm really proud of the work we're doing at the BDL in terms of like really shifting the focus from just like, let's just grow at any cost. Let's just get, just talk about this number of students and just to really start looking at the work from a school lens in terms of like, okay, like, it's not just that, hey, we had 200 students at a tournament or 300 students, whatever it is, but like, where are these students coming from as well? So this year, as you will see, and you continue to see in the work and the information we send out, there's a real focus, especially looking at it through an equity lens, but also making sure that we don't have a handful of school disproportionately representing the number of students we're engaging. So with that in mind, what we're doing this year is like we have what's called our WIG, which is our widely important goal. And effectively, it's about how we're engaging schools. So we have 6 teams that will stay robust this season. Don't worry if you don't know the definition of what these terms are. The next slide, we'll go over that. And then we have 12 teams who will stay on the path to robust. We currently have 12 teams currently on the path to robust. Our goal is to make sure they stay there. And the last goal, and probably the most important goal, is that we want to get 19 teams to get on the path to robust. And Lucy, if you can go to the next slide. So as you see here, engaged debater is a student who's engaged for 20 plus hours in BDL programming with a minimum of 6 debate rounds. And the robust teams, the 6 ones, are schools with 15 engaged debaters during their second or third year with at least 5 young Black or Latino men on their team. So there are 2 components to it. It's not just attendance, there's also demographic makeup as well to that. So right now we have 6 teams currently that fit that. The path to robust are schools with 8 plus debaters on their teams. Again, it's not just 8 debaters who showed up once for practice, but like 8 debaters who have engaged in the 20 hours plus with at least 6 debate rounds. And for the rebuilding schools, are schools with fewer than 8 engaged debaters in the past 3 years or more. So there are some schools for various reasons where there's like, a lot of transitions, just many different obstacles where that has been more difficult to get more 8 students or more. So recognizing also that schools are not funded the same way, recognizing there are different barriers at different schools to help them get to the path to robust. Our commitment is to invest more resources, staff time, money, and other resources as well, to making sure that these schools can also get on the path to robust and ultimately become a robust team. And the benefit for this, there are many benefits, right? Where it's like once the team becomes robust, it starts to really feel like a debate school. Recruitment gets a little easier, and overall, like students want to be part of that culture, part of that debate culture. It's hard to have a debate culture if you have 3 students, 2 students, and then, like I said, for various reasons, that can be the case. So our goal is to get all the teams ultimately to become robust. But next year, we're particularly focused on getting 19 teams on the path to robust, keeping the teams we have on the path to robust there, or getting promoted to becoming robust, and at least keep the 6 teams who are currently robust. for next year. I'm gonna stop saying the word robust now. But yeah, you can kind of see the definition of what those are. So what are the supports? I'll kind of go quickly to what we're providing for all debate teams and also what the rebuilding teams can also look forward to. So some of them are things we've done already, you were familiar with. So like that's like kickoff and end of season meetings, talking about goals, debrief process, and school support with at least once a month, visiting your practices, providing support, leading practices. Again, coach meetings, summer coach camp, November PD, January debate academy, coach PD, and then meetings at the tournaments that we're having. And of course, the offsite team support, weekly debate corners that Roger sends out every week. And of course, we're definitely available via email or call, text, whatever else. And for rebuilding schools, we have additional November check-in after tournament 1 to just kind of see where we are in terms of recruitment, what else we can be doing. Every other week communication with school leaders. Again, part of that is because we fundamentally believe that once it starts at the top, when there's a commitment at the top saying like, hey, this is important to the school, it will trickle down and it will make a difference. So making sure that they're fully in the loop, making sure that they're giving you what you need to have a successful team. And school support. So at least once every 2 weeks, coming to your practices, leading your practices, helping in whatever way you need. Recruitment support will definitely be at your recruitment events that you have, whether it's in the beginning, parent session, whatever it is, let us know. We will be there. And then presence, which is a lot of this, right? Just making sure that we're there, we're on the ground, we can kind of see what's happening with you so we can really be problem solving as a team, making sure that you don't feel like, again, you're going through another season where it's like lifting the load by yourself. We really want to share that load, making sure that we are walking in tandem with you, making sure that we can problem solve together. And then, of course, there's a mandatory November PD as well. And similar with the offsite team support for all the schools, you get monthly debate team spotlight to the whole staff at your school. And also sending regular communications to students, families, using talking points, which I'll talk about next. Next slide, Lewis, please. And also, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm sharing this, but
move to the next slide. Just answer the poll. Which resource are you most excited for? And you're like, well, my resource that I was looking for is not there. Just put it in the chat and see what we can do from now until the season. Okay, and this was a quick poll before we move on. You can share the results.
Is it okay to have a breakdown room at the very end for like me and someone else?
1 sec. Resources.
I launched it already.
Okay.
Oh, you launched it.
Sorry.
Oh, the one about the money is the next one. So I don't know if they would have seen. Yeah, that one right here. So as you're looking at the poll, continuing with the resources, going quickly over budgets. So for all debate teams, as usual, it's $50 per engaged debater that you get in your team budget, starting with $250 to kick off the year. And then you receive the $50 for every time, for every debater above 5 who hit the engage mark. So similar to the past years. And of course, we've done the 8th grade and senior speaker prizes. Those will stay. And then recruitment outreach. So we'll be sending out posters, family postcards, info sessions, and other materials to help you recruit students, both in English and Spanish. And then of course, for camp, which we're using as a way to get you guys started, positioned to succeed this year, the camp promo video as well, you guys have access to. And then for rebuilding teams, in addition to the budget here, you will also get every single week, the BDL will provide pizza for for practices that you are running for the first 2 months up to tournament 1. The idea behind this is like a lot of times we know the tournaments are like the most exciting places, like where students really can fall in love with this activity. So we want to just keep them in the door long enough to kind of see this at its full potential to kind of get a sense of like, what is this, why can this place be? So that's the idea behind providing food, because food is a great motivator. It definitely gets me in the door. I don't know, so we're hoping it'll work for other students as well. And then of course, recruitment outreach for debate camp. It's $150 for high school debaters who attend camp, plus an additional $50 when they attend first tournament. And then of course, $75 coach bonus for every student who attend 5 days of camp at those high schools. And if someone's asking, why the money, this was definitely informed by what we've heard from students, but also just knowing that in high school, $200 is quite a bit of money for a lot of high school students, and a lot of students as well in high school, a lot of times having to pick between camp, which is not paid in the past, and also doing a summer job or something else that can pay them. It's really an unfair choice that they have to make. And we don't think they should have to make that in a way where it's like they have to give up making some money in high school to attend camp. So this is our way of saying, we understand this is a sacrifice, and in whatever, in the small capacity that we can, we want to provide something towards that so that you don't fully have to lose on all the earning potentials and all your earning potential during the summer. And yeah, so these are the resources that we'll be providing, and we are excited that to try this. And obviously, we are doing this with the hypothesis that this is actually going to get students in the door. So as we're doing it, please let us know as the season is going if this is working for you, if there's something else you need, so that we can make sure we're being responsive. We know all the best plans, once you hit the field, things might be different, and you guys being on the front line would really be helpful as you let us know, if this is working for your school, or if this is not working for your school. And we definitely want to encourage you to spend your budget. A lot of times, actually, you'll be surprised how many coaches don't spend their budget. Please spend your budget. We want you to spend the money, just like whether it's buying food, whether it's buying snacks, Amazon wish list, whatever it is, just to make sure that you are spending the budget, because it goes a long way. The schools that spend their budgets, they're able to get the students in the door, because a lot of times, a lot of students don't really know what debate is, but if you they know what pizza is, they know what snacks are. So just please spend your budget to get your students to the door. Yeah, and there are some ideas here, like going out after a tournament to celebrate the team, or gift cards, which those work really well, which we've tried during the pandemic year, and we probably will continue to try as well. And Luz, the next slide, please. All right, and then just before I go on the slide, we have the poll results. The overwhelming favorite was all of the above. Definitely support for debate resources for practices as well, and swag for debaters as well. All right, other resources for all teams. So as we've been doing, and we'll continue to do this year, we'll provide practice resources covering novice through advanced JV for the entire season. We have updated those lessons. We'll continue to provide even more resources with those lessons as well, including banks of videos illustrating key debate and topic concepts. We are hoping that, as you guys are teachers first, and you may not always have time to create lessons from scratch, that this will really help you going from like, oh, I'm teaching the whole day, now I got to do this again towards after school. We're hoping this is something that you can really rely on so that you can kind of plan out your season so it doesn't feel too overwhelming. Again, we know in the morning you have a full-time job that is very stressful. So we're hoping this will make a dent in terms of just like the amount of effort it requires to continue throughout the day. Evidence, the evidence packets are almost fully ready. It's both in English and Spanish, and electronic versions will be delivered, to schools as well. We definitely have a philosophy of evidence, which I think we'll be touching on throughout the week as well. So you guys will definitely hear more about that. And then audio recordings of novice packets. One of the things that some students talk about is just like the difficulty of pronouncing certain words. So we're hoping that with this is also another resource, again, with our commitment to accessibility, that will definitely help. And then the last one is swag and gear. So definitely the medals for participating. In the trophies as well, which debaters love. Engaged debater shirt / swag given at each tournament as debaters reach that milestone. We're gonna be a little bit more celebratory towards like actually towards participation. Again, as we look at the studies and everything else, half of this is just showing up. So we definitely want to celebrate that, like showing up and being there all the time. And of course, the Debate Camp t-shirts, which they will get at Debate Camp in 2 weeks in the summer. So these are all the resources that we'll be providing for all the teams this year. And Luz, the next slide, please. And one thing I would definitely want to highlight this year that's going to be a little different is we will be using talking points. I'm not sure if anyone's ever heard of talking points. It is a platform to communicate with parents, families, students, and coaches. So the way it works is we'll get the information, we get the data from filling out the enrollment form, and the BDL will send out reminders about like when tournaments are, all these other things that what the coaches usually have to do, which you still will be doing. But this is, again, just another way to help lift the load in terms of communicating with parents, with families, and also with students as well, just so they know, hey, tournament's coming up, this is where it's going to be, this is the time, just those quick reminders, sending it out to everybody, which we have a lot of control over, like what schools we're sending it to, where we're sending it to. And they have a few resources, a few functionalities that are really exciting, where it's like you can select any language you want to receive it in and it will translate it directly. It's really awesome, and Luz brought this to the organization. It's really great, and we're excited to use it this year as well. And by now, I'm sure you're like, oh my God, this is a lot of information, please stop talking. But the last thing I will leave you with is to answer this question: where do I find the resources that we're talking about here? So in the past, I know you guys were using my BDL to find the resources. In an effort to keep things simple and not make you have to remember multiple websites, we are consolidating everything to bostondebate.org. So the website is currently going redesign right now. It's not fully ready, so we will be sending that out when it is, but everything will be on bostondebate.org. You don't have to remember bostondebate.org or MyBDL or Team Tools, whatever it is. We're just trying to consolidate everything under one platform, so that way your job is a little easier. You can just remember one website, and that is bostondebate.org. And when that is ready, we will be sending it out. And that is all the information, at least for me. You're not off the hook yet fully, that I'll be sharing out. And then now we will be transitioning to quick 10 minutes where we stop talking and hopefully get some information from you. We will be going to our breakout rooms where we have a few questions that you guys will be answering. 1 second, let me just copy the questions and put them in the chat really briefly.
We can do it here in the main room because people may have the same questions, Rana. We're gonna just if you have any questions, I know this was a lot of information. Some people may need the time to process. So while others ask questions, you may be, oh, that was the question I had. So I'm gonna keep it here in the room because we still need to share a little bit information about what the tournaments and the season is gonna look like. So instead of going to breakout rooms, I thought I know there were a couple good questions also going on in the chat. So if you have additional questions, feel free to either put it in the chat or share it here, unmute yourself. So that way other people may have the same questions and we can answer them in the chat or here. And again, just take a second to process that information.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Apologies if this was already covered. In terms of virtual tournaments or just physical tournaments, are we, since we're approaching the school year, are we 90% in terms of doing physical tournaments?
So we are going to talk about that. We have not talked about it yet, so you are not wrong. We are planning to do a mixture of online and in-person events. Our larger tournaments we plan to have in person. Everything else would be online.
And that was around privileging, you know, the things we were missing about being in person, but then also with some of the scrimmages, which we'll review the schedule, as we said afterwards. That's about privileging the ease of access. So kind of having the mix of both, but making sure there's a good chunk of in-person tournaments.
Any other questions? I'm also thinking that people may just have questions about the events itself, which Roger is going to cover next. So I could have Roger cover those. And then if there are any questions about a specific like tournaments, then please continue to put them in the chat or unmute yourself to ask them.
Are we going to, when in person, are we still meeting at, I just forgot the name of the university. Suffolk University?
We're still trying to figure out exactly where the locations will be. I know there's been a lot of back and forth, Marisa, with trying to determine what dates we can do. I'm not entirely sure exactly where we're at.
We do have some dates confirmed with Suffolk. We're trying to confirm some more, but there definitely will be at least some for both high school and middle school. And then if we're not able to have it at Suffolk, it will be likely at a BPS school.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Should I
you want me to share the screens? Yeah.
I got it.
Okay, so Roger is going to take us into what the season actually is going to look like with tournaments, scrimmages, or any other events.
All right, and two quick questions in the chat I will answer. Do we have Angel tournaments planned? So I will cover that in the event section, but we are not going to do an Angel tournament this year, but we do have scrimmages, which will be mainly judged by alumni and high school students for the middle school, with the goal of having them help students get through the rounds rather than winning or losing the debates. And then to answer Jenny's question, we do have everything that is currently in the draft of the water privatization case is translated into Spanish, and I will make that available shortly. And we're putting some finishing touches on the water privatization case draft to make it final. Those things will need to be translated, but we should have that by the end of the week. But yeah, the vast majority of it is ready. All right, sharing my screen now. Go. All right, just give me a quick thumbs up if you can see the screen. Awesome. All right, so for the season, what you can expect, we're going to have 4 in-person tournaments. If you've been coaching for a little while, you know that this is a reduction from prior years with in-person tournaments. We used to do 6 in-person tournaments from October through March. During the pandemic, over the last year that we were still in, we reduced it from 6 to 4 with scrimmages and workshops incorporated, and those were pretty popular. We also want to make sure that we're able to safely hold the in-person tournaments, and so we're keeping the reduced tournament structure. Our planned in-person tournaments are November, December, February, and March, and we'll have 2 scrimmages online this year. So these are sort of mandatory scrimmages. The expectation is that your school will attend at least one of the scrimmage dates. So those will be 1 round on a weekday afternoon and will take the place of a normal practice in October and in January. And we'll have 1 scrimmage on each case, which will make things ideally a little bit easier for entry for newer debaters, or a great time for debaters to move up from a novice division to a higher division. We will also have a number of corporate engagement events. So those of you who have had students go and visit places like Vertex or Santander or Houghton Mifflin or Boston Globe in the past, we're going to continue to have those. These are cool because they're just an opportunity for our students to debate about something different and get exposed to a professional environment. We'll have high school travel team practices, virtual and in-person tournaments for the high school varsity students who are traveling. And then we'll have a Suffolk BDL dual enrollment class. Marisa, I believe we still have a couple of seats open in that as well, right? If you have an 11th or 12th grader who's interested in getting a college credit class for debate.
Yes, and I'll share more info on that tomorrow morning, just not to overload with info, but yes, we definitely do. So think about that.
And then for you all as coaches, what are you going to have to kind of continue to improve and learn throughout the season? Well, we're going to have meetings at tournaments. We have coach meetings at every tournament. And hopefully they've been valuable for the returning coaches and the new coaches. We use those to catch up and learn about important things from each other. Tournament 1 and 2 will also have specific coach PDs happening during the tournaments, so that you'll have a little bit more, you'll be able to learn a little bit more, but it won't take any extra time out of your busy lives. We'll also have a coach PD on November 19th, supporting outreach engagement for rebuilding teams. And then finally, we'll have a debate academy. We're bringing that back again for January, and this will be for students and coaches, actually, diving deeper into the second case and helping learn about how to move debaters into varsity. Those are league-wide events for the teams and for the coaches. At the school level, our ask is that you hold at least 1.5 hours of practice per week, 1 or 2 days. And, we know folks will hold sometimes even, 2 or 3 or more hours of practice per week. But really, we think that this at least 1.5 hours with the lessons we provide will give your students a pretty good chance to be fully prepared to be competitive in the tournaments and have a positive experience. And then we're asking everyone to attend tournaments and scrimmages, and your goal as a team is to have a minimum of 8 students. So, you should keep recruiting if you're not yet at that 8 student minimum, and we'll have specific goals with specific teams throughout. Let me pause there and see if we have any questions about any of that stuff. Okay, I will continue. Oh, that was my slide. All right. What questions do you have about the season, and what questions do you have about events? We have some built-in time. If not, we're running a little long, so we can maybe just skip right through this.
Wow, no questions. I'm glad everybody either review all the materials before. Roger, nobody understood what events are, or we are good to go. I'm loving this morning. So give me a thumbs up if you are clear up to now with the events and everything. Virtual thumbs up. Okay, so sounds perfect. Thank you, everyone. I know there's been a lot of us talking here. As I promised, this is the only session that we talk so much and have you answer some polls, but we wanted to make sure that you're all clear and you all know, because I know there is a lot of new coaches, you know what you're getting yourself into. I always tell people know from day one what is expectations. I think it's really important, because sometimes we get to a week and it's like, I don't even know what these people was expecting from me this week or the season. And you find yourself in these events or in this, it's like, oh my God, now it's like every week, every month, or it's like 2 hours a week. So we wanted to make sure that everybody was clear about the resources, but also what the expectations of being a debate coach that I always mention are not lightly. So at this point, as I mentioned before, during this week, we want to make sure that you have time to plan with your co-coaches, and you at this point may not be kind of like know who's in the room, may not know everybody. So I will give kind of like a few minutes for you to sign up for the slots for the office hours. What the office hours means, and I will go straight to that, is that we are going to kind of like brainstorm with you what will be something that will help you kind of like launch that the season. Do you want to like test drive kind of like a little bit kind of like a test drive recruitment session, or do you want to kind of like test drive like your first practice? So we can talk about those things during these office hours. So we are highly encouraged. We cannot make anything mandatory because you're all adults and we don't believe in mandatory, but we do believe in like kind of like making sure that we are prepared for the season. So office hours just mean you're gonna meet with one of the BDL staff members, either Marisa, Roger, Runner, or myself, to kind of like brainstorm what are the things that you're gonna be working on, because this on Friday is all about presenting kind of like either you pitch for recruitment and all of this, and I put coach 1 and coach 2 here, but you can do it in group of 3. If you are the only person from your school and you add yourself here kind of like by yourself, like when we are doing this on Friday, we can say, hey, somebody else, for example, say, hey, Kelsey, you're here by yourself, but Chris was actually from Charlestown thinking about running a session similar to yours. You can pair up with him, and then on Friday during the test drive, you will be assigned a spot over here and kind of like gonna be as feedback sessions here. So the only thing you need to complete on your own is these office hours. The only thing I want you to put your name on is the office hours to tell me when can you meet with us to brainstorm about this. And if you are like, okay, I have done this before, because prior to this year, only people who were taking the course for academic ladder credits were doing this. We're asking everybody to do this year because we have gotten good feedback into when people present and kind of like get feedback. So prior to this year, again, this was done by the people who were doing the taking this for credit, but this year, everybody will have that opportunity on Friday. So again, these are all our office hours. We're open all of these days, so just find a spot, put your name in there, and make sure you do that before Tuesday, by tomorrow. I'm sure by tomorrow, you know everybody already, but if you know, and if you wanna ask for a recommendation, who should I pair up with? Let us know, because we wanna make sure that you kind of like know a little bit ahead of time. And like, it's also, I don't want to Thursday tells you, hey, remember tomorrow you have to practice, and we are like, what? They have to practice what I'm presenting. So this hopefully will help with that. Let us know if you have any questions about that. Let's see. And if you, again, you can pair up with somebody who's not from your school, but if you're like, oh, I have seen somebody do a great recruitment session, you can do that. We also have some slides in the Google Classroom where it says recruitment. We put some examples there of recruitment as well. I will give again a few moments of space for people to think or ask any questions. We are about to close a little bit in a few minutes. Yes, I'm putting the link on the chat right now, Chris. So it's the tab that says office hours complete by coaches. And again, if you don't have to save this link right now, you can find this in the area where it says paperwork in the Coach Camp folder. That is called Coach Camp Summer Logistics. You will find that there as well. And again, if you don't have questions now because you're like, this was too much info, and later on you are like, oh my God, I should have asked that. No worries, feel free to ask us about it. I wanted to make sure that I also kind of like continue to have like kind of like the time and give you your necessary break before we start the next session. So I just wanted to close out. Before I close out, I just wanted to kind of like, again, go back and review that our objective for this morning and this specific session was for you to have a full understanding of the commitments for the week and seasons, and understanding of the resources that we're going to be providing. So I will ask you for your feedback now and kind of like, let us know, put in the chat, what do you, like something that worked for you of the things here. If something didn't work for you, let us know. because that way we are also able to continue to provide kind of like get your feedback and try to provide a little bit of changes as needed. And again, during the exit ticket today, we're going to be asking you to also evaluate each session individually. But just now, I would love to say some of plus and deltas from this specific session. And I will take 1 more minute, give people in the chat to put any deltas plus for this session. And you feel free to unmute yourself as well, if that's easier. I will stop sharing my screen so we can have feedback here.
I think people are needing a break.
It looks like. So we will see everybody at 11. I want to give you this sort of break at 11. So again, we will have 2 sessions, one for novice, one for JV and varsity. We assigned you what we think is the best fit for you, but again, feel free to choose, and you can see that in the attendance, you have a room assignment, it says varsity or it says novice. So feel free to pick other session if the one that we assigned was not a little bit the one that you consider the best for you. And with that being said, just thank you everyone for joining us this morning and to kind of like going through with all this information. So